All right, let's jump right in. So you've got that classic sinking feeling. There's a soggy patch of grass right next to your patio, and your water bill just shot through the roof. You know what it is? A broken irrigation pipe. But here's the kicker. It's buried deep under your beautiful, thick concrete patio. So what on earth do you do now?
I mean, this is pretty much the nightmare scenario, isn't it? A busted pipe is a headache on its own, but when it's entombed under 8 inches of solid concrete, that feels like a disaster. The very thought of bringing in a jackhammer and turning your gorgeous outdoor space into a pile of rubble is just, well, it's awful. But what if I told you there's another way?
So you're basically at a fork in the road. You've got two main choices. On one side, you have the old school method, smash the concrete. It's totally destructive, it's incredibly messy, it costs a fortune, and then trying to patch that patio so it looks right again? Good luck. But on the other side, there's a much smarter option, going underneath. This way causes almost no disruption, it saves your beautiful hardscape, and honestly, it's a really elegant solution to a very messy problem.
Okay, let's talk about that elegant solution. It's something called an irrigation sleeve, and believe me, it is the hero of this story. It's just a much smarter way to deal with pipes that are buried under any kind of hard surface, whether it's your patio, your driveway, you name it.
So what in the world is an irrigation sleeve? Well, the concept is actually incredibly simple. A sleeve is just a bigger, tougher pipe that acts as a protective tunnel. Your actual smaller irrigation pipe just slides right through the middle of it. Think of it like a pipe inside a pipe, designed specifically for these impossible-to-reach spots.
And this is the perfect way to picture it. You've seen this before for sure. Think about the electrical wires in your house. They don't just hang loose inside the walls, right? Nope, they're protected inside a plastic or metal tube called a conduit. An irrigation sleeve does the exact same thing. It's just doing it for a water pipe instead of a wire. It creates a safe, clear passage.
So why is this such a game changer? Well, first off, that outer sleeve protects the inner pipe from all the weight and pressure from the concrete above, which means you're way less likely to have another break. But the real magic is that last point. If that inner pipe ever fails again 10, 20 years from now, you just pull the old one out and slide a new one in, all without ever touching a single piece of your patio. It's a permanent fix for what feels like a permanent problem.
Okay, so the idea makes sense, but how do you actually get this sleeve underneath a massive existing slab of concrete? Well, the process is way less destructive than you're probably imagining. No jackhammer required.
Here's how it actually goes down. Professionals will dig a small hole on each side of your patio. Then, using some pretty cool tools, they'll either bore or use a high-pressure water jet to create a narrow tunnel right through the soil, completely underneath the concrete. Once that path is clear, they just push the larger sleeve pipe all the way through. And the final step? Your new flexible irrigation line gets pulled through that protective sleeve. Done. No mess, no rubble.
Now here's a really important pro tip that you've got to get right. The sleeve needs to be at least twice as wide as the pipe you're putting inside it. And you might be wondering, why does that matter so much? Well, it gives you plenty of wiggle room to easily pull that new line through without it getting stuck or kinked. It just makes sure the whole system works perfectly, both today and for any repairs you might need way down the road.
So this sleeve solution sounds pretty fantastic, but is it the right call for every single situation? Let's break down when it makes perfect sense and when you might want to consider something else.
A sleeve is an absolute no-brainer in a few key scenarios. If your broken pipe is under that 8-inch concrete patio or driveway or a pool deck, yes, it's the ideal choice. If the idea of all the cost, the noise, and the mess of demolition makes you sick, the sleeve is your best friend. And pay attention to this last one. If you are ever pouring new concrete, putting in a few cheap sleeves before you pour is one of the smartest, most forward-thinking things you can possibly do.
But hey, let's be realistic. It's not a silver bullet for every single leak. If your pipe breaks out in the middle of your lawn where it's easy to dig a trench, then just dig the trench. That's going to be faster and cheaper. Also, if the ground under your patio is full of massive rocks, boring that tunnel can get really tough and expensive, which might cancel out the savings. So you got to weigh the options.
So, when you boil it all down, what's the one big idea you should walk away with? It really all comes down to the incredible long-term value you get from installing one extra, simple piece of pipe. This quote from the source material really just says it all, perfectly. The ultimate payoff here is total peace of mind. It's about fixing the problem today in a way that guarantees you will never, ever have to face that jackhammer for this same problem ever again. It turns a future disaster into a simple 30-minute repair job.
So when you're standing there, staring at that soggy patch of grass and dreading the destruction, just remember this alternative. That simple protective sleeve, it isn't just fixing a water pipe, it's protecting your investment, it's saving your money, and it's preserving your sanity. So could one simple piece of pipe really save your entire patio? I think the answer is a definite resounding yes.